Welcome back everyone. In this video I'll show you how to make a farmhouse style side table or sideboard, whatever you want to call it. And this one is just made out of a few 2x8s. I have here 3 boards, but it's actually just made out of 2, and together with some leftovers that I had kicking around in my shop. First I trim those boards down, then I go over to my jointer, and I really like this jointer because it has a 8-inch table, and it's wide enough so that I can even run a 2x8 through it. So that's really what I like on this specific jointer. The only thing that I do not like on this jointer is that the fence is very small. So, and if you have seen other videos from me, you kind of know what's coming. I make one flat side on each board, and then I make also a straight edge on each board, just one, so that I can bring it over to my table saw, rip it down to the correct size, and then I glue it together. So for this video I also want to take the opportunity to talk a little bit about pricing. I think maybe lots of you guys who are watching this are interested in it. And for this specific piece of furniture, I think I charge around $300. And as I mentioned before, it's just made out of some 2x8s, two 2x8s, and some leftover material that I had. So pretty much the cost and the material cost is, what is it, maybe 25 bucks or so, maybe a few bucks more, maybe a few less. And I sell this side table, so this specific one is just for myself, but I made those in the past for customers as well. But this, like I said, this specific one is for myself because my wife and we kind of like the design. And what I was going to say was that I usually charge around $300 for this type of table. And when you think, hearing those numbers, it kind of makes you think, oh, okay, he has material costs of just 25 bucks and he sells it for 300 bucks, which is a profit of 275 bucks, which is around 1100% profit, like 1100% profit. But the question is this really true? Is there really a profit of 1100% or $275? It's not untrue. I want to say that. But also you have to consider that the material cost is not the only cost you have. Sorry, just very short, I want to also comment what I do here in this scene. I do the glue up, and as you can see here, for this glue up of those two bigger boards, I only use 2 pipe clamps to clamp it together. And I mentioned that in another video before. If your prep work is as good as possible, and if the joint that you want to glue together, or the boards that you glue together, are very straight, so that you do not have any gapping in between, you also do not need a lot of clamps. So for this here, like I said, 2 is more than enough, because if a joint is tight, there is no value with putting even more clamps in. But let's come back to what I was talking about before. The material costs are not the only costs you have as a maker, or as a furniture woodworker maker. There is more to that than just the cost of material. There is, for example, the cost of your shop itself. Maybe you have a shop. Some people don't. Some people have to rent a shop. You have to pay the rent for the shop you're working in. Or if you can call yourself lucky and you have your own shop, then yeah, someone needs to pay for the tools. Oh, just here very quick. I screw this table together with panhead screws, like longer panhead screws. And what I do here is because those screws are going to be exposed, very visible. And I think having screws in this look, in this like metal look, in this silver metal look, I don't like that. So I grabbed some old paint that I had here, some metal paint, and I dipped the screw head into that paint, let it dry. So I have later black screw heads. Here I trim down one of the boards, like the shelf that goes, the lower shelf, but I do not waste those cutoffs. I'm gonna use it later. And here's a quick tip for you guys. If you are like me and you're not a guy who really likes to do specific drawings before, I to be honest, I just hate to make drawings. I usually go with just some something in my head, or maybe a very quick sketch. And if you have to make, so here in this case, the legs are not vertical, 100% vertical later on that table, so everything needs to be cut a little bit in an angle. And if you like I said, if you don't really like to make drawings, just just get a piece of cardboard, a piece of paper, or what I do here, do it on your workbench. Just make a few marks on the paper or on the workbench for that matter. And those marks will serve like a template and will give you the correct measurements for, in this case, for the legs. And it will also give you the right angles that you need. You will see this later in that video. So yeah, I was talking about the cost for your shop, which will also have to be later included in the price for the stuff that you're selling. And yes, I think, where was I? I think I talked about the someone needs to pay for those tools that you own. And yeah, like I said, those costs need to be included in the price that you're asking for your stuff. If you do this just on a side, you have your own shop that you kind of put together over the years, and for you it's more like a hobby that also can make you some money. It's different. But just think about, if you wonder, if you're thinking about turning your hobby into a full-time business, then then you also then you do not have just the costs for the material and for your shop, but you also have to pay taxes, and you also have to pay insurances. There's also something that is called opportunity cost, which means if you're working on something specific, there's you do at that time you cannot work on something else, which is from the perspective of an account, which I did a little bit in the past. This is a cost, and this is, like I said, this is called cost of opportunity, the cost of something that you cannot make in that time because you're working on something else. That's all this stuff need to be included in your calculation when it comes to pricing your stuff. All this needs to be considered. All of this is important. And when I said at the beginning, maybe I did on this piece like 1,100% profit, or or as a number in dollars, I made like $270 profit. That's not, from this perspective, that's just not true. If I consider all those costs that I had making this, when I paid for the rent of my shop, paid for the tools, paid for the material, and also paid for like sandpaper, saw blades, and all that stuff. Even a pencil is somehow a cost. This if I consider all this, maybe there is just a profit instead of $275. Maybe there's just a profit of $200, or maybe just 150, or maybe just 100. Then everything just looks completely different. And for this specific piece of furniture, it took me, like, the building process took me, like, I think around 8-ish hours, which is a complete, like, a full work day. And if my profit was just $100 and I worked 8 hours on this, how much money did I make per hour then? Then it's just $12.50. So my hourly wage was $12.50. And I'm not sure if I could live from that. That's not a lot. So a professional might need to charge $500 for this, or maybe 600. And if you think, oh, this is very expensive for that type of furniture, but the professional woodworker needs to charge that much just to don't lose any money. To be honest, a woodworker who's working full time in his own shop that he had to pay for, and is asking $600 for the type of furniture that he worked 8 hours on, that woodworker is not getting rich. I don't think so. But if you do this just on the side, you can ask whatever price you think is reasonable for this. It's a complete different game. And I also do not want to scare someone who is probably thinking about seeking his fortune in professional woodworking. I just want to put things in a different perspective, because there are a lot of woodworkers or makers, even on YouTube, who are promising you that you can get rich from making furniture or small woodworking stuff. And I think lots of those guys, they do not. I'm not saying, I don't want to offend people, and I also don't want to say that those guys are lying, but yeah, they also just don't tell the whole truth about how it is to have a full-time woodworking business, or even a side business. But like I said, I do not want to hold you back from doing woodwork, and also I do not want to hold you back to try to make a dollar from your woodwork. That's definitely not my intention. But for now, I think that's enough from my know-it-all attitude about having a side business or full-time business in woodworking. Let's talk a little bit about what I'm doing here. As you saw, I'm almost done with the assembly. I used some, as you saw, some hand tools for the joinery that I did here, and I mentioned this in another video, that whenever you can use hand tools without losing too much time, do it. If you are like me and you think there's nothing more satisfying in woodworking than using hand tools, there's nothing wrong with it. But also, if you want to use your hand tools and it would be too time consuming, then yeah, probably do it the easier way. Just use power tools. So, and here I screw everything together, and you saw before in this video here where when I talked about those screws. So now you can see that those screw heads are black now, and in my opinion is it looks a lot better than if it would be like those silver or grayish screw heads on especially on farmhouse furniture. Black fasteners, black screws look a lot better. Just my personal opinion. And for this little pieces here that go in between those legs, there will be also a longer piece that, yeah, right here, that connects both sides. For that, I use the cut-offs that I got before when I trimmed the middle shelf or the lower shelf. For the whole project, I didn't use, or for the at least for the joinery, I didn't use any glue. Everything is getting hold together with joinery and with screws. The only glue that I used in this project was for the panel glue or for the tabletop and the shelf. And yeah, it's pretty much done so far. Everything that is left for this project yeah, here the screws for the bottom shelf, and also then I use screws to screw the tabletop on. And like someone smarter than me mentioned once before, whenever you can sit while you're working, sit. Same goes here for the other side. Just one screw for each joint, that's more than enough. Then comes the tabletop. And here I use this long framing square to check if the tabletop is in place, because you can see here now that the tabletop and the shelf have the same length. Now get the last couple of screws in, and then the assembly part is pretty much done. I really like those visible black screw heads. Okay, and here again comes my favorite part, the staining. I don't know, did I ever mention before that I hate staining? I think I did, more than often. Lots of people say that, or lots of woodworkers say that the worst part in woodworking is sanding, but as far as I'm concerned, for me, I prefer sanding so much over staining. I don't know. Maybe for the next video I will get my wife do this for me. I use some gel stain like I did in for other projects before. And for this gel stain I do not use like a pre-stain. Okay, that's it. If you enjoyed that video, please give me a thumbs up. Subscribe to the channel and leave a comment. Thanks for watching. See you next time.